What's up, guys? This is Manoj Bhuptani. I welcome you all on behalf of the Edupedia world. So, this is the fifth video presentation in which I'll be going to discuss with you the one relevant topic, that is about the current account transactions. So, we are covering the Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999 over here. By now, we already covered 4 of our presentations in which we have discussed about various topics, and I'm 100% sure that you guys are revising your topics time and again, like as always. That's the first and the foremost thing that you need to do, guys. So, perfect. With that kind of hope, belief, and enthusiasm, let's mark the beginning of this particular presentation. Fasten up your seatbelts. We are about to take off with the first topic, and that will be the current account transactions. The same will be covered under section 2, subsection J, and it has to be read along with section 5. This question was asked in CA final examination for November 2008, June 2009, and November 2013. So you can simply guess the idea about how important this particular topic is for the relevance of your CA final examination. This is one such topic from where maximum number of questions can be expected out of here. You need to stay very much cautious and try to grasp each and every kind of concept that I'll be able to deliver you up. Stay tuned. Perfect. So guys, current account transaction. It simply means, if I go by the core definition which has been provided under section 2 subsection J. So that will be that current account transactions means a transaction which is other than a capital account transaction. For all of your knowledge, we have already covered the capital account transaction in our last presentation itself. So if in case you have got any of the doubts in particular that video, so kindly go through that video first of all, because so that you'll be able to know, okay, what kind of transaction apart from capital account transaction will be current account transaction. Any kind of transaction basically is going to hit either your current account or your capital account. So the one which is not going to hit or get included in the category of capital account transaction, the same will be considered the current account transaction. And it is written over here as means. So remember guys, that's not includes. That means this is it and that's it. So means a transaction other than a capital account transaction. So what does usually current account transaction includes? So without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing, the current account transaction includes, number 1, payments which are due in connection with foreign trade, other current businesses, services, and short-term banking and credit facilities which are done in the ordinary course of business. Okay, so any kind of payment that you are actually making up with respect to any kind of foreign trade that you are doing, any kind of current account business, okay, any kind of short-term banking. I'm not talking about long-term debt or long-term loans. So any kind of thing which is going to bring impact to you for a short-term basis, that is likely to be less than 12 months period. So short-term banking and credit facilities which are usually done in ordinary course of business. So let's suppose you are running a business, okay, and daily you need some kind of cash funds, and this fund flow goes on recurring basis daily. So where should that particular transaction be classified? Obviously in your current account, because that's not going to hit your capital account in any of the way. So that is something which is going on on regular basis on your ordinary course of business. That's number 1. Second, which it will include the payments which are due as interest on loans and as net income from investments. So any kind of investments that you make, short-term investments or any kind of short-term loans that you take up, okay, and if you need to have pay against those loans in terms of any of the interest. So all these payments which you will be making as interest on loans or whatever kind of income that you will be receiving from those investments, that has to be categorized under the category of current account transaction itself. Number 3, that will be remittance for living expenses of parents, spouse, and children residing abroad. You have your father, you have your mother, you have your wife, you have your children, and most likely it can be a case that you have been settled in India, though your family is staying outside, abroad. Okay, so whatever kind of living expenses that you are going to pay to all these persons abroad, so these remittances will be included in your current account transaction. Number 3, that's. Number 4, the expenses in connection with foreign travel, education, medical care of parents, spouse, and children. So any kind of expense that you will be incurring in terms of any kind of small regular foreign travel trips, education amount which you usually pay to for your children, any kind of medical care of your parents, they must be old, they must be senior citizens, so they need some kind of medical care, or that can be for your spouse as well. That could be for your children as well. So any kind of such smaller transaction that you usually do on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, each time around. So this will be included under the category of current account transaction itself. So all these transactions will be covered under the category of current account transaction. This question was asked in CA final examination for November 2008, June 2009 and November 2013. And I'm sure that you guys got the complete clarity with the kind of examples that I provided to you in order to make you understand what are those kind of categories which will be like included in the category of current account transaction. Perfect, guys. So anything which is having this immediate effect, okay, and which will be like having its impact for less than a period of 12 months. So the same thing can be included in the under the category of current account transactions. Next will be the provisions that apply to current account transactions. So what are the provisions which will be applied to these current account transactions? So number one that you need to remember, that is the current account transactions are freely permitted. Okay, this is something which the government of India is also like recognizing the importance of these transactions. These are very much important in order to ensure that you be able to do your business without any kind of problems. You can do your business hassle free all the way. You don't have to like get involved in any of the obligations or obstacles with relation to carrying on your business, export import in that particular case. So all these current account transactions are freely permitted. Your parents who have been like living abroad, they obviously need the medical care. They obviously need someone to take care of them over there, and you need to make the payment for them as well. So the government is aware of the fact that these are the transactions which are generally in ordinary course of business or normal lifestyle of persons. So these are freely permitted. However, having said that, central government may impose reasonable prohibitions and restrictions on such current account transactions as it deems fit. There might be a possibility that the central government may think that there are some of the transactions that require some certain kind of reasonable prohibitions and restrictions. So they have the power to impose some certain reasonable prohibitions and restrictions on such current transactions, current account transactions, whatever they deem fit. So that will be the provision which will be applicable to current account transactions. I hope I was able to provide you the guidance as to how to go about with any of the things which will be concerned with current account transactions. Let's move to our next topic, and that will be about the transactions now. So what all are the transactions for which drawal of foreign exchange is prohibited? By prohibition, I simply mean that the foreign exchange cannot be used for such purposes. What all are those transactions wherein you cannot use foreign exchange? This will be read with schedule 1, and that will be rule number 3. Number 1, payment for travel to Nepal and or Bhutan. So guys, as you must have been like aware of this fact, I don't know whether you are aware or not, but I must tell you something about this. So Nepal and Bhutan are like having very good relationships with India. Okay, so the kind of relationships that that means India, Nepal and Bhutan like enjoy. So the kind of relationship that we enjoy, so that's wonderful. Okay, so the kind of relationship which is between our Prime Minister of the nation, Mr. Modi, and the King of Nepal or the King of Bhutan, Sir Jigme Singhe Wangchuk. So that's incredible. Okay, so it has been like told and clearly mentioned that the kind of currency which we are having in India can be similarly used in Nepal and Bhutan itself. Whenever you are like willing to move to or visit these places, whether it be Nepal or Bhutan, so you can use the Indian currency over there as well. That is something which is being like freely exercised in these 3 countries all in all. So it has been like clearly mentioned that since you can use your Indian currency over there and you can use Nepali currency in India or Bhutan currency in India as well. So the kind of relationships that we are having over there, so it has to be taken care of that in particularly the case with payment for travel to Nepal and Bhutan. So there will be no foreign exchange available. Okay, so foreign exchange cannot be used for any of the purposes for payment of travel to Nepal and Bhutan. So you can use your Indian currency over there as well itself. That's why it has been prohibited in order to ensure that you don't need to exercise the usage or you need not draw any of the foreign exchange over for the use of payment of travel to Nepal and Bhutan. Number 2, transaction with any of the person who is resident in Nepal and Bhutan. That's a very similar kind of thing with respect to the first point. So The payment for travel is also not available over there. Plus, if you need to make any of the transaction with any of the person who is resident in Nepal or Bhutan, so you cannot draw the foreign exchange in that particular case. So the same is being prohibited. Number 3, that is the remittance out of the income from lottery winnings or racing, riding, or any other hobby. So guys, one thing which is extremely important to note, that our government is very much of the opinion that we need to save and retain foreign exchange as much as possible. So, and on the same side, our government doesn't want any of the inefficiencies in the market. So our government is like regularly exercising this thing wherein they want to curb the practice of income from lottery winnings or racing or riding or any kind of such hobby, which is actually bringing out some of the inefficiencies in the nation. You don't need to work in order to earn any income from lottery winnings. All you need some kind of good luck, and the rest will be taken care of by God. So the government is actually not appreciating the fact that people are not working in that sense and just speculating in the market and creating some kind of inefficiencies. So they have actually maintained this thing that the remittance in case of outcome of any of the income related to lottery winnings, racing, riding, or any other hobby, for that particular thing, the drawal of foreign exchange is just not permitted. So that has been like strict adherence with the government, and it's a guideline, so that needs to be taken care of. Next will be the remittance for purchase of lottery tickets. So since the government is not providing any of the incentive with respect to any of the income remittance with relating to any of the income from lottery winnings, so definitely the government is also not encouraging so that you need to go for remittance of any of the purchase of lottery tickets. So if you want to avail and any of the benefits or do with respect to lottery, go ahead and do it in India itself. So you don't need to have the remittance for purchase of lottery tickets or banned magazines. So that is something for which the drawal of foreign exchange is prohibited. Next will be the payment of commission on exports under rupees state credit route. So again, guys, this is something on which the FEMA basically clearly states that the drawal of foreign exchange is prohibited. Why? Because it's basically totally on the basis of the commission which you'll be getting out of export. So the nation again wants to like remove the involvement of any of the mediators while you go for any of the export or import procedures. So this is going to like impact in a way wherein you'll be dealing with some kind of funds and you need to incorporate the commission amount for any of the exports. So the main concern for the nation is that they want to provide the exports on the cheapest prices. Okay, so probably that's the only reason as to why duty has been removed from all the kind of taxes and duties. Why? Because they want the encouragement and friendliness with respect to exports. So if in case there will be some kind of commission while you go for any of the exports, so definitely that is going to increase the amount of exports. So that is something which the government doesn't want. So any of the payment that you are going to make with respect to the commission on exports under rupee state credit route, because that is something which is not under the clear guidelines of the system and it's under the radar basically, this rupee state credit route. So the government is of the opinion that the drawal of foreign exchange is prohibited in this case. Plus, if in case you are like going for the payment of commission on exports made towards equity investments in joint ventures abroad of Indian companies, then again the government is definitely not in favor of this thing. So again for the same thing, drawal of foreign exchange is prohibited. So that is something on which the government has like clearly said one thing, that foreign exchange cannot be used for such purposes. Next will be the remittance of dividend by any company to which the requirement of dividend balancing is applicable. So now guys, you must be thinking about, sir, what does dividend balancing actually mean? So guys, dividend balancing basically simply means that the dividends which will be due to the foreign partner. See, foreign direct investment is usually like very much, most of the time it's welcomed in India. Okay, so there is a foreign investor who is likely to provide some of the foreign direct investment in your nation. Okay, so dividend balancing is basically an act wherein the dividends which are due to the foreign partner in foreign exchange, it has to match the kind of foreign exchange earnings that have been executed with the help of those exports that your company is going to do. You bring in some of the foreign direct investments, okay, and you are required to pay the dividend to that foreign partner in the foreign exchange term. So you need to ensure that the kind of revenue that you will be like you were able to earn with the help of those exports in the foreign exchange, was that equal and balanced in terms of what amount are you paying back to that person. So this basic act is basically the dividend balancing. This complete act is basically the dividend balancing. So it is all about the connection of repatriation of the profits which have been like earned by the foreign investments, by the foreign investors to their home country. And just merely because of this fact that dividend balancing application, so in many of the countries there are some of the restrictions on repatriation of dividend outside the country, and these restrictions basically require that the outflow of foreign exchange on payment of dividend shall not exceed the amount of export earning of the company. So you need to ensure that what amount did you exactly earned and what amount are you paying back. So you need to have that kind of balance. That is what dividend balancing is all about. So perfect. Now moving back to why the drawal for that particular foreign exchange is prohibited. So now coming back to the concept. So remittance of dividend by any of the company to which the requirement of dividend balancing is applicable. So again, that is the same thing in this particular case. If in case it's been like exceeding the amount of dividend balancing, so in that particular case, drawal of foreign exchange is prohibited. Many of the companies are having this kind of restriction. Even India is having that. So they need to ensure that they are earning something out of while bringing into their country the foreign direct investment first of all, and after only that particular thing, they'll be like able to provide some of the export to dividend amount back to them. So that was about this point. Next will be the payment which is related to callback services of telephones. So guys, what does this callback services actually mean? You must be pondering your head now. So this is something which is like very much common with each one of us. So in the telecommunication sector, if you can see, usually what happens, you being the originator of a call, okay, you just dial in any of the number, and by the time you disconnect, what happens is you immediately get a call back in just the second call in response from one of your friend. So this is about the callback services. Okay, you gave a call to someone, but just in a minute, okay, you get another call back from that same person. So this is what callback service basically mean. Okay, now what does it have to do with FEMA? So again, I must tell you. So a callback in a sense is basically a method which is used for making the low cost international calls via third country. Usually in most of the premises, it's the United States, most likely. So where the call charges are considerably lower. Okay. So what happens is whenever a subscriber is like allocated a unique kind of number, so and this charge is being done. So whenever you call back your service, you need to have that drawal of the foreign exchange. Okay. So why? Because you are taking the services of another third country. So they must not go with the providing of the assurance that okay, you can go about and taking care of in your Indian currency. So you need, however, as far as the government consideration is concerned, so they have like strictly cleared out that the drawal of foreign exchange is prohibited in this case. So your amount will be deducted in Indian rupees itself. Okay, so you cannot draw your foreign exchange. Okay, sir, I am liable to pay them $4. So can I have those $4, or like I'm liable to pay them $4,000 or like let's say $40,000 to them? Can I have that drawal of foreign exchange? No, absolutely not. Why? Because it has been clearly mentioned that it is under the prohibited list. So you can pay them up in Indian rupees, but not in foreign exchange. So payment related to callback services on telephones is prohibited. Next and the last one, that is the remittance of interest income on funds held in non-resident special rupee account scheme. So what happens? Non-resident have like their special rupee account scheme over here. Okay, so they have like maintained this in India. They are basically earning the interest in Indian rupees by default automatically. Okay. So now they are planning, since they have accumulated huge amount in Indian rupees. Now, if you wish to, that you can draw your foreign exchange in that particular case, being an Indian. Okay. So that remittance of interest income on funds which are held in non-resident special rupee account scheme, that is just not possible. Why? Because the drawal of foreign exchange is prohibited in this case. Why? Because the government basically tries that you need to have your funds blocked in India itself. Thereby you can help the Indian economy in growing as far as the foreign exchange is concerned. So these are the transactions for which the drawal of foreign exchange is prohibited. That means the foreign exchange cannot be used for such purposes. Payment of travel to Nepal or Bhutan, transaction with a person raised in Nepal or Bhutan, remittances out of income of lottery winnings, racing, riding or any other hobby, remittances for purchase of lottery tickets or banned magazines, payment of commission of exports under rupee state credit route, payment of commission on exports made towards equity investment in joint ventures abroad of Indian companies, remittance of dividend by any of the company to which the requirement of dividend balancing is applicable, payments related to callback services of telephone, and finally concluding with the remittance of interest income on funds held in non-resident special rupee account scheme. I hope I was pretty much clear in making you aware what these transactions are all about, and I'm sure that you'll be able to clear it out once you get any of the question related to the same in your examination paper. Perfect guys, let's move to our next topic, and this will be about the transactions which are permissible, however, with the approval of central government. Okay, so you need to have the prior permission, and you need to have that approval of central government, and therefore you can go about taking care of these transactions. This is with rule number 4, read with schedule 2. So number 1, remittance of freight of vessel chartered by a public sector unit. It has been like specifically proven over here, but I must tell you one thing, that if in case you have your RFC account, there is no need for the approval of central government if in case the payment is being made out of that RFC account. That is something kind of exception to all these rules. Number 1 was the remittance of freight of vessel which is charged by a public sector undertaking. That is number 1. Number 2, multi-modal transport operators making remittances to their agents abroad. So any kind of multi-modal transport operations that you'll be using in order to make the remittances to the agents which are being settled abroad. So you need to have that kind of approval from central government first of all. Next will be the remittance of container detention charges exceeding the rate prescribed by Director General of Shipping. You want to provide some of the remittances for the container detention charges, but the same are exceeding the rate which has been like prescribed by the Director General of Shipping. And in that case, you need to have first of all the approval of central government. Why? Because you're paying to an amount which is exceeding the rate which has been prescribed. So you need to have that approval of central government. Next will be the payment of imports through ocean freight, ocean transport by a government department or PSU on CIF basis. CIF has simply mean cost, interest and import and freight charges that you need to make. Cost, insurance and freight charges that you need to insure payment of. Next will be the remittance of hiring charges of transponders by TV channels and internet service providers. Next, the cultural tours which are usually going on in any of the country. Next will be the remittance for membership of PNI club. Next, advertisement in foreign print media by central government or public sector undertaking exceeding the limits which have been prescribed. However, having said that, there is no restriction in promotion of tourism, foreign investment and international bidding. And lastly, the remittance of prize money or sponsorship of sports activity abroad exceeding the limits prescribed. However, having said that, there will be no restriction on payment if in case the payment is made by an international level sports body or national level sports body or state level sports body. So these are the transactions which are permissible with the approval of central government. I'll give you a very basic example and you'll get to know one thing of mine, and that will be the approval of central government is primarily required only and only in case of transactions which actually directly or indirectly involves the government or PSU in their sector. So let's see the first point. So that is including public sector undertaking. Okay. Next, about the transport operators which are making remittances to the agents which are abroad. Again, the third one. So that is after in case you exceed the limit which has been prescribed by Director General of Shipping. So again, the ball went into the court of government. So that is where again there will be approval of central government which will be required. Then again, in case of imports through ocean transport by a government department or public sector undertaking. Again, I am basically specifying you this thing wherein you can understand that if in case you get any of the question in your examination, okay, with relation to one thing that whether the approval of central government is required, just try to analyze one thing whether that particular situation is demanding the effort or involvement of government or PSU in any other case. If in case it is demanding that existence, definitely then in that case the approval of central government will be required. So you need to use your brains if in case wherever you get stuck, so you'll be able to sail through in that particular case. So if in case advertisement in foreign print media is made by central government and PSU again, so that involves the government in itself, so it requires approval of central government in that case. And lastly, about the sports tournaments which are being done and the same have been like exceeding the limit prescribed, then again you need to have the approval by because it is being done and conducted by international level sports body, national level sports body, and where basically central government demands its presence with their approval. I hope I was able to make you clear with the kind of strategy that you can follow in order to clear this part easily in the case. I hope you guys got the complete clarity with this part and the segment as well. Perfect guys, let's move to the next topic, and that will be of the transactions which are permissible with approval of RBI, the Reserve Bank of India, in case the limits are exceeded. So Reserve Bank of India usually provides you or permits you that you can have some of the transactions, and the same are like permissible. However, having said that, they need to be completed within that limit which has been like prescribed by RBI. And if in case you are exceeding that limit, then in that case you need to have the approval of RBI. This has been mentioned in rule number 5, read with schedule 3. Now what are those transactions? Let's understand those transactions one after the other. So the number one is business travel. So wherever you get a chance to go about and have the business travel, okay, or attending a conference or having some specialized training. Number 3, maintenance expenses of a patient who is going abroad for medical treatment or checkup abroad. Number 4, accompanying as attendant to a patient going abroad for medical treatment or checkup. The third point, we are talking about the person who is going to undergo that treatment or checkup. And in number 4, I am basically talking about some attendant who is going to accompany that person, that patient, in order to ensure that his or her treatment or checkup goes well. So that is number 4. Number 5, one or more private visits to any of the country, except Nepal and Bhutan. Remember, it's prohibited. Why? In case while you go for any of the travel trips for Nepal or Bhutan, you can use your Indian currency over there. Next will be the gift per remitter. So there is some of the condition you can go and provide some gift in terms of foreign exchange to a person outside India, that is in abroad, but there is some of the limits. So that will be gift per remitter in that case. Donation can be done, but per donor. How much donation? That is being like fixed by in terms of limit by RBI from time to time. So that gets revised time to time. So if in case you exceed that limit, you need to have the approval of RBI in place. Next will be the person who is going abroad for employment. Next, immigration. If you are going for studies abroad, then you need to have that approval of RBI if in case you are exceeding that limit prescribed. Again, maintenance expenses of close relatives who have been like staying abroad, their medical treatment checkups, their medication fees, their other fees, other required charges. So all those maintenance expenses of close relatives who have been like living abroad. Next, commission per transactions to agents abroad for sale of residential flats or commercial properties in India. So you are making or paying some of the commissions per transactions to the agent who have been like settled abroad, and they are like directly selling the residential flats and commercial flats and plots which are being available in India to the persons who are NRI. So you are paying commission to them. So you need to have some of the approval from RBI if in case you are paying them in exceeding that limit which has been prescribed by RBI. And lastly, the remittances for consulting services which have been like procured from outside. Again, if in case you will be like exceeding the limit which has been prescribed by RBI, you need to have the approval of RBI in that particular case. However, having said that, please note, no approval will be required from RBI if in case the payment is being made from RFC account. Now you guys must be like pondering about on your head and scratching it off like, sir, what does RFC account actually mean? So don't worry, I'll help you out, guys. I won't let you have any of the doubt in your mind. So RFC account, guys, is basically the resident foreign currency. Okay, RFC stands for resident foreign currency. These are just the bank accounts that can be maintained by resident Indians in foreign currency. These accounts are especially useful for all the non-resident Indians, okay, who return to India and would like to bring back the foreign currency from their overseas bank accounts. So that is something which has been like maintained by a resident in terms of their foreign currency. So that's nothing special about it. So that's resident foreign currency accounts. These are simply the bank accounts which are being maintained by non-residents, NRIs, okay, and in terms of their foreign currency. So whenever they wish to come back, they can bring in the foreign currency in their account from their overseas bank accounts. So that is the RFC account. So no approval will be required from RBI if in case you are making the payment out of that RFC account. Why? Because you are just bringing the same account to our nation on your own behalf. So we are not the persons, or we as government or we as citizens won't like give any of the pressure or any of the kind of problem or obstacle for you guys creating by in making you not to go with the kind of money that you have actually earned. Okay, so that has been something which has been like earned by you in the past from so many years in some other country. So that's your wish. You can bring that particular foreign currency in India and you can keep it the same safely in the RFC account. And whenever you wish to make any of the payments, so you can make as much as you can, so as much as you want. So there will be approval of RBI which will be required in that particular case. So this is about the transactions which are permissible with the approval of RBI if in case the limits are exceeded. Business travels, attending a conference or specialist training, maintenance expenses of a patient who is going abroad for medical treatment or checkup abroad, plus the expenses of the person who is being accompanied as attendant to the person who is going abroad for medical treatment and checkup, one or more private visits to any of the country except Nepal and Bhutan. Remember, if in case you wish to pay any of the amount as gift per remitter, so you can do so. So presently that's US dollar in terms of like 5,000 US dollar per financial year, you can do so. If I'll talk about the donations which are per dollar, so currently the rate which is going on, the limit which has been like fixed by the RBI, so that's again 5,000 rupees per financial year. So that is something which you can do in that particular case. Next, for the person who is going abroad for the sake of employment, so again that is a limit which is being like presently available and in as US dollar for 1 lakh. Again, then that's immigration, studies abroad. These things can be taken care of. So studies abroad, this question was again asked in one of the CA final examination for November 2008. I still remember that. So studies abroad has like the present limit which is higher of the estimate which has been like provided by the institution which is settled in abroad, situated in abroad, or the US dollar, that is like 1 lakh US dollar per academic year. So that is the kind of thing which is like available, but you can have higher of the two amounts. So the estimate which has been like provided by the institute, or US dollar 1 lakh, whichever is higher in that particular case. Then maintenance expenses of the close relatives abroad, commission per transaction to the agents abroad for sale of residential flats, commercial plots in India, and finally remittances for any of the consultancy services that can be procured from outside India. I hope I was able to make you clear the kind of complete understanding as to how to go about if in case you get any of the instances in your paper with respect to current account transactions. Perfect, guys. That's the spirit. Cool. So do revise your topic. That's one of the most crucial thing which needs to be done. You cannot skip that or escape from that particular stuff. I'll be concluding my video on the tools of motivation, and that will be look to today. Procrastination is the art of keeping up with yesterday. This quote was being mentioned by Don Marcus. With this, I'll say thank you on behalf of the Edupedia world. Keep interacting via questions, queries in YouTube comment boxes. I love to solve your queries and grievances. So if in case you have any of the queries, don't hesitate. Kindly write in the YouTube comment box and I'll be there to help you out. Trust me. Stay connected. That will help us in understanding your needs way better. Love you guys. Take care. God bless. See you in the next presentation. Till then, sayonara.